So y'all are asking me for a backstory, so I'm gonna back all the way up and give you guys a backstory. The reason why I did not start my story where I like in the beginning is because I did not want to drag my story. I was only, when I got on the internet to tell my story again, it was only because this is what God put on my heart to do, and I was just being obedient. So I just wanted to tell my story. I didn't want to drag my story, and I just wanted to let you guys know what happened. So I have people asking me for a backstory, so I'm going to give you guys a backstory. So I got pregnant at the age of 20. At the age of 19, I was living with my dad. So I ended up leaving home, and the reason why I ended up leaving home is because I remember being on the phone with one of my male friends. He wasn't anybody that I was dating. He wasn't anybody that I was doing anything with or anything like that. So my dad was like really, really, really strict and really overprotective. I was on the phone with the guy, and my dad was eavesdropping on the conversation. And he picked up the phone and he was listening to my conversation, and I could hear on my dad's end when he picked up the phone. So I told my friend guy, I was like, we wasn't really talking about anything. It was just a simple fact that every time I was on the phone with a friend, like even when I was 18 years old, my dad would pick up the phone, and every time I was on the phone, he'd pick up the phone and listen in on my conversation. And anybody back then basically knows what I'm talking about, how your parents used to pick up the phone. And so I didn't say anything out of the way or nothing. I just told the guy, I was like, I'll talk to you later because apparently somebody got to use the phone. That's what I said. And so my dad started yelling at me because he thought that I had an attitude by saying that. He basically was telling me, this is my phone, I pay the phone bill, blah, 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 blah. So I hanged up the phone, and my uncle at the time, my aunt's husband, they was living with us. My aunt Shell and her husband was living with us at the time. So he basically was telling me, be quiet, don't say nothing, just let my dad have it, because he didn't want me to get in trouble. So as I hang up the phone, I'm going to my room, and because my dad got upset, my dad came upstairs and he began to whoop me at the age of 19. And so my dad was hitting me, so I started kicking at him. And he told me, he was like, you think you grown, then you can get out of my house. And so I remember when my dad left out the room, I was so angry. I was so upset because growing up, I was always accused of things that I did not do. So that's where a lot of my anger came from. That was a lot of where a lot of my frustration came from, being accused of things that I was not doing. And so I was basically trying to tell my dad I didn't have attitude. I was just getting off the phone because I was assuming that you needed to use the phone. So long story short, when my daddy left out the room, I was so angry. I was so upset. I ended up calling one of my friends, and I asked her, I said, hey, I need a place to live. Like, I need a place to stay for the night until I can figure out somewhere else to go. And she was like, you can come over here. I asked my mom, and you can come over here, but you're going to have to find a way to get over here. So I ended up calling one of my friend guys. If he remember at the time, he's one of the guys that went to school with me. And he ended up coming to pick me up and to help me get to where I needed to go. And so as I'm on my way out the door, my dad was telling me, wherever you go, you make sure you stay there. And then so I wasn't saying anything because I'm already upset. And I leave out the house and I go. And that night I ended up staying with the guy. After I left where the guy was, he ended up taking me a few days later to my friend guy's house. My associate's house. Ended up taking me over her house, and her mom basically said that I could stay there. So I was staying with them for a certain period of time, and during that time of me staying with them, I basically met the next door neighbor, which is the guy that became the father of my child. So when I moved in with my associate, they basically told me, when you come over, you're gonna have to go look for a job. So I did not have a car at the time, so she had to take me to look for a job. So we all went to look for a job together, and we all ended up working together. So once we ended up working together, everything was cool. Like I said, we was friends for like 9 years. Like we was like really close. And so I used to call her my sister. But anyways, that's how close we was. But anyways, after living with them for a certain amount of time, I started noticing that she was acting a little weird. Um, and it was because the guy that became my baby father, she came to me when me and him started talking. He would come down her house a whole lot more when I came down there. So she was like, he was never coming down here that much until you started coming down here. He wasn't even like, he don't come down here like that. So when I started noticing her acting weird towards me, I went to her and I was like, "Hey, is everything okay? Because I'm starting to notice that you are acting a little weird towards me." And she was like, "No," she was like, "Cuz I need to talk to you." And then so that's what she used to call me. She used to call me cuz. So we talking, and she's like, um, "I noticed how Nico's constantly coming down here a lot more now that you are here." She was like, he wasn't coming down here that much when before you started coming down here. And then I'm like, okay. And then so she was like, I used to have a crush on him. And then so I was like, okay. And she was like, cuz I'm in love with him. And so I'm looking at her like, girl, what? Because at this point I'm confused because me and him was not we was not dating at the time. We was just going back and forth, hanging out. We wasn't dating. We was just friends and connecting at the moment. But when she started seeing us connect, that's when she came to me with this. And then so she's like, I had a crush on him ever since I was a little bitty girl when we moved into this house when she was a little girl. And so I was like, okay, so are you saying that you don't want me to talk to him? Like, what are you saying? And then so she was basically like, I think he like you. So when she told me that she think he liked me, I told her that I like him too, basically. And when she found out that I like him back, all hell started breaking loose. Like, I'm like, so I asked her, I was like, have y'all ever had anything going on? Like, have y'all ever dated? Like, I'm asking her all these questions and she's like, no, like we never dated, had never had anything going on. I just had a crush on him. So she felt like because she liked him, she had a crush on him, she still have a crush on him. She felt like I wasn't supposed to like him. Like when I moved down there, she never said, "Hey, the guy down here, his name is so and so. He off limits. You can't talk to him. You can talk to anybody in the house, but you can't talk to him because I have a crush on him. Blah blah blah, whatever." Not saying that would have worked, but I'm just saying like she never told me that the guy was off limits. So long story short, I went to him and I was like, "Hey, do you like my friend? Like in like as like a relationship type deal? Like have you ever had a crush on her? Like do you like her?" Like I started asking all these questions because if he had told me that he had a crush on her, then I would have never talked to him. But he told me no, he don't have a crush on her. He never liked her. She's never been attractive to him, and that's why he never liked her. um I asked him, I said, well, did you know that she had a crush on you? He said he had a feeling that she had a crush on him, but she never told him that she had a crush on him. So he was like, but because him and her brothers, they are all best friends, he said he wasn't gonna talk to her, and he never wanted to hurt her feelings because she's cool and she's like a sister to him. So he was basically like, he never said anything to her about her liking him or anything like that. So I was like, so you don't like her and you don't have anything going on with her. You never had anything going on with her. And he said, no. So she basically told me the same thing. He told me the same thing. So after that, after I got my confirmation, I was like, okay, so what are we doing? And then so he was like, he liked me and he want to date me. So me and him, we started talking and we started dating. And once she saw me and him getting closer, that's when she decided to come to me and say, hey, you living here ain't gonna work. Like, you gotta go back to your dad's house, or you gotta find somewhere else to stay. And she thought that by her putting me out, that I was gonna go back to my dad's house, and that was gonna stop me from being with him. So what he said was, he said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna talk to my grandmother, and I'm gonna see if my grandmother will let you stay with us. That way you don't have to go back to your dad's house. So he goes and he talked to his grandmother to see if I can move in with them. His grandmother says yes. Mind y'all, I had already been talking to his family because I had been staying down there for a little minute. So when me and him used to hang out, I used to hang out like down my friend girl house and his house. Like, I used to just be around. And so I had already met his folks. And so she was like, yeah, I can stay there because I seem like I'm a good girl. Like, I seem like I'm a well-mannered, well-respectful young lady. And I was. And so they let me move in. So what I did was I went down her house and I packed my stuff. And she was like, you got somewhere to live? I was like, yeah, y'all me to laugh. I'm sorry. I swear to God, I ain't mean to laugh. I don't know. It just seems so funny to me. But I was... I'm going to edit this part. But... So... She was like... Okay, y'all. So, I did not mean to laugh. When I tell y'all I'm serious, I am so serious. It's just a simple fact that I've never told this story. So this is my first time talking about it since it actually happened. And it's like kind of funny to me because how dare you move down there and I'm trying to put you out to make you get far away from him. And instead of you going far away from him, you actually move in with him. Like, that's why I laugh, because that's the part that was funny to me. But anyways, I'm so serious while I'm telling this story. So anyways, after I moved down, me and her, we got into a big argument. Like, it wasn't a little argument. Once she found out that I was moving down where he was, she could have shook that whole entire house, and me too. But it had got so bad, the argument had got so bad to the point where her brother had to come in there and be like, look, y'all got to split up. Y'all got to split up. Like, y'all got to, wherever you gonna go, just go ahead and go. And so I get my stuff. I go down there and I go back and I tell Nico that me and her, we got into it. We got into a bad argument and it wasn't good. I said, we not friends no more. And he was basically like, what? Like, kind of confused as to why she was so angry when they never dated or had anything going on. And I'm telling him, I'm like, well, she got a crush on you and she don't want me talking to you. And he was basically saying that ain't her decision because he never liked her. So, because me and her was into it, I told him not to go down there no more because I didn't trust her at that point. I don't trust what she would do. Like, she ain't my friend no more, so you shouldn't be down there. That's basically what I told him. And so he stopped going down there because I said, don't go down there. So he ended up stopped going down there. And once she realized he wasn't coming down there too, and I didn't think about none of this at the time, but when he stopped going down there, she noticed that he wasn't coming down there either. So what she did was she called him and she was like, I need to talk to Tiffany. And then so when he got off the phone, he told me that she said that she wanted to talk to me. So I go down there for me and her to talk because I'm thinking she want to squash stuff. Like, she want to squash the beef between me and her. So I go down there and me and her, we talking and she's like, you want to drink? You want to smoke? I was like, no, I'm good. You know, I ain't want to smoke. I ain't want to do none of that. And then so she was like, well, I just want you to know that I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to come at you like that. She was apologizing. She hugged me. And this is one of the reasons why I don't trust nobody now. But she hugged me. She tell me how sorry she was. She tell me I was just jealous. You know, I had a crush on him my whole life, and I just felt like you were my friend, and you wasn't supposed to talk to him, and all this other stuff. And so I was like, it's cool. Like, I get it. I understand. And so she asked me, she was like, do you like him? I was like, yes, I like him. Like, I like him. And she was like, okay, that's cool. So basically, we squashed, at least I thought we squashed everything. So after we got done talking, she was like, is it cool that I talk to Nikos? Once she asked me if it was okay for her to talk to him, I basically said, let me go back and see what he say. Let me go talk to him and see how he feel about it. And then so I went back to him and I told him that she said that she wanted to talk to him. He wasn't for it. He was like, he didn't want to talk to her or whatever because of the beef that me and her had. And after I told him that me and her had squashed everything, he still didn't want to talk to her. And but so I told her, I was like, he don't want to talk. Like, he don't want to talk. So she ended up calling him some time after that, and she was like, so she basically called everybody cuz. So she called him. She was like, cuz, I'm sorry. Like, I really need to talk to you because I don't want, like, we've been friends for a long time, and I want to talk to you because I don't want us to be beefing because this stuff is silly and blah, 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 blah. So he's like, she want to talk to me, so I'm going to go down and talk to her, hear her out, and see what she got to say. So he goes down to talk to her. He ended up coming back, I would say about a little bit over an hour later. And then so I was like, it took y'all that long to talk? And then so he was like, yeah, she basically apologized to me. And he was like, I hung out with her brothers after me and her was done talking. He said he hung out with her brothers after that. Hold on to that information because I'm going to get to it. It's going to make sense later. So after he told me, I asked him, I said, did anything else happen? Like, did she try you or anything? He was like, no. Long story short, some time went by and me and him, we was working together. Like, we basically did everything together. But we started having problems, like issues in our relationship, not because it was like cheating, anything dealing with that. It was just a simple fact that when I go to work and I used to buy food and put it in the refrigerator, like, he had, I think it was like 9 or 10 people that lived in that house, plus me. And so when we buy food and we put it in the refrigerator, we'll leave out the house for a few hours and then come back and all the food will be gone. Like, we would literally go grocery shopping and go out the house for a few hours and then come back. When we ready to eat, there was literally nothing left in there that we bought. And I used to get upset about it because I'm like, you got to talk to your family. And then so he finally said something, but the problem never, like, they never corrected the issue. They felt like if she's living in our house, whatever she buy, we are entitled to it. So that's basically what it was. So I told him after some time that I was going to find somewhere else to go, and he didn't want me to move out. He didn't want me to leave. He wanted me to stay. And I told him I can't do that because it's going to come a point where I'm going to start falling out with your family, and I don't want to do that. And so he still didn't care about none of that. He was like, I'm going to talk to my grandmama. I'm going to see what we can do to, you know, get them to stop eating the food. So the more we bought, the more they ate. And it was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm hungry. When I go to the refrigerator, whatever I buy, I want to be able to eat. And so I just started making arrangements, and I started calling around to see who I could move with. I was calling people in my family, and of course, my family never had my back like they have everybody else's back. There was only one person that opened their door to me, and that was my Aunt Jerlene. I called my Aunt Jerlene. She said, yeah, you can come live with me. And it's almost like it wasn't even a second thought. She was like, you can come move in with me or whatever. And plus I had a job and everything, and I would provide my own food, everything. So I told him, I was like, well, my aunt told me that I could move with her. I said we could stay in a relationship and I still come to see you every day. And he still didn't want that. He wanted me to stay, but I couldn't stay. And so me and him, we started arguing a lot more. I think he thought that if I moved over there, then I was going to be in another relationship with somebody else, because he had started being jealous-hearted. Even though he did not approve of me moving out, I moved out anyway. And when I moved out, it just brought a lot of problems into our relationship, because he started being real jealous-hearted. So because he was being jealous and I was trying to prove a point that I wasn't talking to nobody else, dating nobody else, I would go over his house and I would stay out. It's like I was living with my aunt, but I would stay the night with him just to prove to him that I'm not talking to nobody else. When I moved in with my aunt, things was cool. It was just a simple fact that when I moved in with my aunt, I would go grocery shopping over there. And when I tell y'all the same thing that was happening over my boyfriend's house started happening over my aunt's house. So it's like I'll go grocery shopping and then I'll come back home and it's like, what attacked the refrigerator? Like, why do I not have food in this refrigerator? And so it was basically like I would buy the food and they would eat all the food up. Like, I have no idea. Like, I wasn't doing like small grocery shoppings. Like, I'm telling you, it's like they was eating from the moment I left to the time I came back. Cause where is my food? Like, I swear to God, it was going, like, it was leaving so much faster when I was over my aunt's house than it was leaving when I was over his house. So when I got tired of not having food in the refrigerator over my aunt's house, and I thank my aunt for opening her door, because when my aunt opened her door, nobody else opened their door in my family. So I'm always gonna be thankful and grateful that my auntie opened her door for me, always. But that was the reason why I left my aunt's house, because I couldn't keep food in the refrigerator over there either. And so I left my aunt's house, and because I didn't want to go back to my dad's house, what I was doing was I didn't want to go back to his house, because I know if I go back there, me and him, we already having arguments, and then I can't keep no food in the refrigerator over there. So I was trying to get him to get an apartment with me. Let's get an apartment together and we move in together. But it was just a simple fact that he wasn't keeping a stable job. So it's like, if you're not keeping a stable job, it's like we was working temp services. So we either gonna be homeless or we gonna get put out and be homeless. So I didn't want that life. So I was always trying to figure out a better way. That was me, always trying to figure out a better way. And because I didn't want to go back to him, because we was arguing a lot, and of course the food issue, I decided that I'm just gonna sleep in my car. So I started sleeping in my car. I would park my car over his house, his aunt's house, my aunt's house. I was parking my car wherever I could park my car and go to sleep. So basically I was homeless. I was living homeless outside in my car. And so he was like, you don't have to live out there in your car. Like, you can come back to the house. And all I could think about is my food, because I like to eat. So it's like, I can't keep no food. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go grocery shopping, and I'm going to put my stuff in the trunk of my car, and I'm just going to sleep outside in my car. And when I need to take a shower, I'll just take a shower wherever I can take a shower. And so, like I said, I used to be over his aunt's house a lot as well. But anyways, I used to just eat food. Used to go to my trunk of my car, get food, sit in my car, sleep in my car, and eat from my car, from the trunk of my car. But I was trying to prevent going back to my dad's house as well, because it was so much trauma that I dealt with in that house, in my I'm gonna give y'all story time about all that too as well, but I just want to go ahead and get this right here out the way. But anyways, so because I didn't want to go back to my dad's house, I was comfortable with sleeping in the car. And so he used to get mad at me. My boyfriend at the time, he used to get mad at me because I was sleeping out of my car, and he was like, "You don't have to be sleeping in your car." So I started feeling like really sick. I started feeling really, really, really sick at the time, and then so I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was just thinking that I was stressed out. I was going through some things, and pregnancy was the last thing on my mind. I never, like, it never crossed my mind. I never thought about it. I started telling him, and I was like, I feel sick. I think I said, I'm not, I don't, like, I don't want to keep living out here in my car. So I called my dad, and I asked my dad if I can come back home. And my dad told me, yes, I can come back home. And so when I came home, I was constantly feeling sick. I was feeling so sick. And I finally went to my dad because I was vomiting, and I was scared to talk to my dad and tell my dad I was sick because I didn't know what was going on. And so so I went downstairs and I told my dad, I said, I feel sick. I feel like something is wrong. And then so my dad gave me some Pepto Bismol because I told him my stomach was hurt. He gave me some Pepto Bismol, and he gave me something else. I don't know what it was, but he gave me something else. And so after I took that, it did not make me feel better. I was constantly vomiting. I was constantly feeling sick. And so what he did was, what my dad did was, he called his ex-girlfriend, and he asked her, his ex, I don't really want to say her name, but I'm gonna say her name, Mary, because he had a whole lot of exes, and I don't want the wrong ex to think I'm talking about her, and I ain't talking about her. So he ended up calling Mary or whatever, and he asked her to come take me to the doctor. And she came to take me to the doctor. We went to the hospital. And that was the day that I found out that I was pregnant. So now I gotta go and tell my dad that I'm pregnant. I was so scared to tell my dad that I was pregnant. Mary was asking me before we got home. She was like, "Do you want to tell him, or do you want me to tell him?" Like, I can't explain the thoughts and the feelings that was going through my body at the moment, but not being able to talk, to my dad in that moment, and knowing that it was so scary. I felt like I wanted her to tell him, but then I ended up telling him because I felt like I would have to face it anyway. So when Mary dropped me back off at home, um, she had already talked to my dad, and so um, basically, I guess, said everything he needed to hear before I actually came and told him what I needed to tell him. I remember telling my dad, and the reaction that I thought I would get, that's what I got. He was so mad. He was angry. He was mad. So my dad ended up telling me, I'm gonna have to take care of the baby by myself. He wasn't gonna help me. Whatever I need, I would have to go to the baby daddy for. He wasn't gonna babysit no baby and all this other stuff. So basically, and that I wasn't gonna be. I had to get a job. I can't stay at his house with a baby and no job, and basically just giving me the rundown of what I can and cannot do, and what he was not gonna do. You made the baby. You gonna take care of it by yourself. If the father is not there, then that's your problem. You should have never went and had a baby. You should have thought about that before you laid down. So that's basically the reaction that my dad gave me. So fast forward, I had to go talk to the father, my baby daddy, and let him know that I was pregnant. When I let him know that I was pregnant, he wanted me to come back and be with him. And I told him that I was not gonna go come back and be with him. I was gonna for we were still in a relationship. I just wasn't about to move over to his house with all those people in the house, and I'm pregnant now. Like, I just thought about the stress that I would have to go through and all this other stuff. Like, I wanted to stay on my dad's house for the time being, because I knew if I had to went back to him, I was gonna be uncomfortable, and I wasn't trying to have that, especially with me finding out that I'm pregnant now. So fast forward to some time later, I ended up finding out that my baby daddy cheated on me with my best friend, the girl that I had moved in with. Um, yeah, her. So he cheated on me with her. And how I found out is because her cousin had called me. And because all of us, we all was cool. We all went to school together. We all hung out together. We all was cool. So she called me. To this day, I'm thinking that I'm thinking that my best friend had her to call me and let me know. I've always thought that. I don't know why. I just always thought that. Cause what reason would she have to just out the blue and call me and tell me that? So, yeah, she ended up, her cousin ended up calling me and telling me that he cheated on me with my best friend. And so I went to him for confirmation, because I've never been the type of person to just accept a person word without knowing if it's true or not. So I went to him and I asked him if it was true, and he told me that it was true. I asked him about the night that he went down her house. I said, was that the night? And he told me, yeah. Like, he told me that was the first time. That he said that when he went down there, not to give too many details, but he said that he was about to leave and she basically went down on him. And so I told him, I asked him, I was like, why did you lie to me? And of course, like a typical man, they always got a reason why they lie. Never a good one. But I told him that our relationship was over. You could still be there for your child, but I don't want to be in a relationship with you, because I can't trust you now. Like, I cannot trust you. I can't trust her. She's no longer my friend, and you're no longer my boyfriend. And so that's basically how me and him end up breaking up. He cheated on me with my best friend, and I ended up finding out, and yeah, we ended up not being together. And because I did not want to be in a relationship with him, he basically told me to F you and that baby. He said that he didn't want to have nothing to do with me. He don't want to have anything to do with the baby. So I ended up going through the entire pregnancy by myself. He did not come to any doctor's appointments with me. Anytime I was feeling sick, he was not there. Anytime that I needed something, he was not there. I was alone. I was by myself. I just I didn't have nobody there with me during my pregnancy. The days where I was vomiting and sick, I had to hold myself up. I had to run myself to the bathroom. When my dad said he was not going to be involved with my pregnancy, he meant that, and he stood on it. I did have my aunt Shell. She was taking me to some of my appointments, because I didn't have nobody to take me to my doctor's appointments. So some of my other appointments, my dad used to let me drive his car to my appointments, and I was basically in the doctor's office by myself the whole entire pregnancy, aside from when, like I said, my aunt was taking me to my appointments. But other than that, I was basically by myself during my pregnancy.